guys, welcome back to Let's Play Final Fantasy X-2. Last time, Chocobo hunting. This time, we are doing a little Chocobo hunting. Maybe, if we get through this. Oh, if we get through this. Welcome to the Thunder Plains. You thought Final Fantasy X had bad quest here. Oh boy. Yeah, we'll talk to you in a moment. For now, let's see if we can find the items that are around here. There are 6 items total. Usually there's one back here. There is not today. Maybe. Is there? There's nothing. Nope, there's one. Oh no, that's a person. As I've done with the last few episodes, I'll just throw the enemy list up on screen here so you can take a look, see if there's anything interesting about any of them. For the most part, there isn't. Weaknesses to ice and fire and water. Doesn't really matter at this point, does it? Do note that the stalwart enemy is still around. They still got a lot of HP. There is an X-2 enemy, just like there was last time. In fact, I think almost all of the enemies are pretty much the same as they were before. Yeah, there's not really anything interesting to do with the enemies around here. But anyway, let's find the new items that we can find. Well, sure, we'll show off the X-2 again. Lesser Drake. These guys can probably still inflict poison just like they could before. Yes, they can. I will clear that off after the battle here. But yeah, since all the enemies are pretty much stuff that we've already seen before, I think there's like a new helm enemy, which are those armored, circular-looking dudes. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Everything else we've already seen before. I think we're going to make my life easier, and we're going to just run through this real quick and collect all these items. Nothing down there. The other thing we can do is we can talk to Sid. Just double checking for treasure chests, which I don't see any of. I'll cut back in here a little more. No, doesn't look like it. Yeah, the mist does a really good job of hiding them at times, so. Alright, the only story completion percentage we can do right now is talking to Sid.
Sid, what are you doing out here?
What? You blind? Can't you see I'm trying to sulk?
The way he says that, it makes me think of Xenoblade.
Let's go.
And Shulk.
But
Leave him.
I wonder what's wrong.
It's Xanarkand. He's all bent out of shape because you told him off.
That's mature.
Yeah, pretty much. And that reminds me of Sticking Around, the cartoon show. Real mature Bradley. Anyway, where are those items around here? Alright, where are we? I see one. God, those are hidden well. There's 3 on each end of the Thunder Plains, just like there was last time. Nothing back there. Alright, where's the other ones? There's got to be a few more around here somewhere. Hidden? No? I've walked right by them in my test run, just trying to find them. Can't find them. For the other side there, I will... Well, I missed one somewhere along the lines. I'll just cut to me actually finding them, especially considering there's going to be 3 on this other side that I don't know exactly where they are either. So, yeah. Oh, well, there's one. And here's another one right here. There we go. And this one again is very well hidden. Now back to the southern side. Oh, there we go. It's hidden in the little alcove there. Yeah, you got to be careful. It's very easy to end up missing out on them. Anyway, now that we've got that percentage point here, we can start up the timer. Hit save point. And assuming I've done everything right, we should be up to, is it 33%? I have the wrong guide highlighted. Yes, 33%. Good! That's the easy part. Okay, I am not prepared for this. Been trying to calibrate the lightning rod towers. It's more trouble than you'd think. All I gotta do is push buttons in the order shown. Longer than expected. I don't want to. Thing is, every time I play this game, I go into, like, after the first time, I go into it expecting to be annoyed by it, and then I play the first chapter, and it's like, it's just funny. There's nothing wrong with it. Then chapter 2 comes, and we get hit with all the mini games that I hate, and yeah, my tune kind of changes. But I'm still having fun dealing with all the stupid plot and the dumb characters and all that. But if we help this guy, I think we have to attempt these. Maybe it has something to do with completion. Attempt to calibrate the lightning towers. You don't need to be successful on all 10. Calibrating any 5 towers and merely attempting the remaining 5 nets you a garment grid at the travel agency. Speak to the Elbed. It saves here near Guadosalam to enable the minigame. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Okay. I think they did something wrong in this version of the game, to be quite honest, unless they've updated it since I did my test run and they've changed it. But let's see here. You're going to go to the travel agency. Questions, yeah. He's just going to stop working and make us do it. Calibrating the tower. General information. Press the start button to quit calibration anytime. If you don't input the proper sequences in time, counts as a miss. Now the problem is it displays all of the symbols in Xbox 360 controllers without the color. In the original PS2 version of the original game, they showed the colored button inputs in PS3 controllers because that's, or PS2 controller colors because that's what you were using, and it wasn't as bad. It's actually worse here, but at the same time better because there are ways to cheese. Nope. Oh, I did press the right button. I thought I screwed up for a second. If you're too slow, you'll end up missing out on it. Just kind of be aware that it gets a lot harder than this as time goes on, and there are more than just the easy ones. Oops, I screwed up that. There we go. Go. And there we go. One miss, not bad. No, we don't need to. We're fine. Whew. So, finished off one, and when I stop talking, it's because I need to focus, because my brain, not so good when it comes to doing these things. So, you don't have to do all of these, but I'm going to demonstrate doing all of them anyway. Now, 3 buttons will fall down the side of the screen. This is one of the ones I really hate. Just because when they had it at 4:3, this was a lot easier because you could just get real close to your TV, which, you know, wasn't all that big way back in the day, or at least mine wasn't, you know, back, 2003? I'm sure I had a tiny TV. Probably, did I still have the 13-inch TV back then, or did I have the 20-inch? I don't remember. It was tiny anyway. Now I got a 24-inch monitor, which, you know, is actually quite a bit bigger than what even, you know, a 24-inch would have been back in the day, because we're dealing with widescreen now and we're stretching the image over a much wider area. The reason why I mention that is because the things come down, you have to see which one it is, then you have to look in the direction to find out what the icon is supposed to be. And it's not easy. At least not for me. I'm really bad at this one. I try and look at 2 of them, but not all 3, because I can't follow all 3. My brain just can't do it. Maybe it's my ADHD. I don't know. It doesn't really matter because it's just going to get harder. As you can see, we're starting to include other things. Eventually, we'll include like all the buttons. And yeah, it gets harder and harder as time goes on. The first 20 are easy. After that, it gets more difficult. So far, not so bad. It's the last 5 that are really bad. So far, crap, I did the wrong one. There we go. See, now it's starting to come so fast that it's almost impossible to look over, think about what it is, and then press the button. Just because, like, if you're looking dead at it and it's in the middle, like with Riku's, it's not so difficult because you're looking right at it. You can respond almost instantly. Trying to respond when you have to adjust your eyes each time, that's more difficult, and you can't really take in the entire screen like you could with an old tube, 4x3 TV. So there's 2 down. There are 10 of these. They get more and more difficult as time goes on. I'm going to leave no encounters on, though there is an encounter issue or thing that we want to do later on. Memory phase. Okay. Begin. Y, A. Y, A. B, B. Okay. This one, early on, not so bad. Later on, it gets ridiculously stupid, and that's just kind of like right at the end. This one takes a lot longer than the other ones just because, well, obviously it just takes longer, but this one's not too hard. Not until the very last one. XB. A. See, for me, it's always difficult because I never played a lot with the Xbox console at all. So I'm not really used to the button layout when it comes to that. When I see XABY, I think of its orientation on the Super Nintendo controller, which is primarily where I use those controls because I've basically owned PlayStation consoles since then. Alright, so XBX. I'll probably end up speaking a lot of them out because it makes it easier for me to remember. Especially when we start getting to 4 of them. Oh crap, was that Y? Okay, good. I couldn't remember the first one. My brain stopped working. Here we go. Well, that one was hard. XBB. Got AYA. What else we got? SAB. BBA. Early on, it's not too bad. BY. Oh, I already screwed that up. It was supposed to be BY. BYAA. BYAA. YBXX. YBXX. Yeah, you don't want to screw this up. BABA. Go. YBXX. AAAB. Go. BXYY. BXYY. YAYA. Go. XXXB. Go. AAYB. And there we go. Successful! We don't need to do any more of that. No, no, no thank you. Okay. Let's move on to the next one. Oh, I'm sitting here waiting for something else to happen. My brain's not working. All right. Down. You'll notice the icons are quite small on the screen there. I don't even know. Oh. I couldn't even see it. It was so small. It kind of worked out in terms of timing, but Yeah, some of them are getting difficult to see, especially arrows on the black background. It's kind of hard to see them. So just kind of be aware of that, and it'll make something that happens later on just seem really weird. All of them only require 30 correct inputs in order to succeed. You can only fail 3 times before you have to retry the whole thing. I don't think there's anything wrong, or you lose percentage points if you don't do anything properly. And yeah, see, if you are slightly too late on one of them and then press the button after the other one's popped up, you lose 2. Bang, right in the right next to each other. It makes it really difficult to start inputting once it becomes really fast, especially in the second half of these. These are the easy ones. These are the easy ones. And yes, they're not super hard yet, but you can only imagine, based on what's going on, how difficult they're going to get. And we haven't even seen every part of this yet. Okay. Don't like the arrow inputs. I almost missed that one because my brain stopped working. Because I got to translate the things in my head to where they're supposed to be on the controller, because they're not the ones I would logically assume with it. So I have to think each time. Makes it really, really slow going here. Hey, I did it perfect. I don't think there's any advantage to doing it perfectly, but anyway. So the only time I will show fails is if it's the first attempt. Other than that, I won't be showing fails. If I fail the first time while I'm kind of explaining things, sure. Beyond that, I'll just cut to a successful take at it. Because there will be failures. There will be a lot of failures. And that's even with the cheat method, which I will demonstrate when it's necessary. It's not yet. So we'll play fair as much as possible. Alright, we're on. Right button is R1, by the way. And left button is L1. Eventually there will be left trigger, and yeah, I couldn't see that. No, screwed that up. Yeah, and well, this one's gonna take a while. I really, really dislike pains. I'm just not very good at it. So here's to me having fun attempting this. There might be a bit of post commentary here just to make it doable, because I'm not going to start saying the same thing 17 times, and it may take 17 times. Wish me luck, please. I'm going to need it. And need it I did. This is post commentary, as it will be for the rest of the video. As you can see by the length, it is not a short video. There's a lot of this stuff to do, and it takes quite a bit of time. Now, this one, I was thinking, since it's only the 5th one, that it wasn't going to be one of the more difficult ones. I had forgotten that this is probably the second most difficult one of these towers that you can do in this entire area. It's not the most difficult, but yeah, we'll get to that when we get to that. As for this one, it's just so weird because all of these buttons come down and they're like varying distances apart, and the buttons are so small. Eventually, it speeds up and it becomes really, really difficult. There's almost no way that you're going to be able to do this. And I was able to get lucky in the hour and a half of failed attempts that I had with this. But in the end, I gave up, because as soon as it gets to this point, it gets too fast. However, if you decide to hit the escape button, you can pause it. You can see the buttons. Sometimes you will fail to get them. Sometimes you will stop it and the button that you want to see is right behind the menu stuff. But yeah, this is the cheat method for getting through here. Now, what I've done, because reaching up to my keyboard when I have both hands on my controller is takes too long. What I've done is I've downloaded a program called Joy2Key, and I've programmed the right directional stick, which you never need for any of the calibrations, all the different directions to the escape command. So all I have to do is nick that button or nick that joystick and boom, pause instantly. And then I can focus on trying to actually do it right. Now I got that to 29 with 2 gimmies multiple times, and I still failed. But yeah, as soon as you get to the screen, gigantic buttons. Like, what the hell? Come on. Why couldn't you do that in the previous screen? And it's not just for units either. It's for all of them. People are not letting me record. Anyway, but yeah, the point is, it's all of a sudden they've gotten quite a bit bigger. Now, all of the memory ones, save for the last one, are relatively easy. Usually I can do them on my first shot. As you can tell by this one here, there's been no cuts, so we basically just walked right up to this and got it on our first go-around. Well, you haven't seen that this is the successful attempt, but as far as I remember, this is the successful attempt. But yeah, the memory ones aren't too bad. The longer you go with this, though, the further you get into these towers, the more options you're going to see. And the more like different button combinations. We've already started to see the right button, R1 and L1. Later on, we'll see L1 or L2 and R2. And not only that, the way that they show up will start to be different too, and we'll have to start pairing things together, which can get a little annoying. And Riku, stop running around like an idiot! Where's the lightning when we need it? Yeah, unfortunately. But yeah, the memory ones I find are the easiest ones. Of course, the most difficult one is also a memory one, but that's the last one, and well, we'll get to that. So yeah, what you can get for doing all of these really isn't all that much. It's supposed to affect the treasures that you get in Chapter 5 in the Thunder Plains. I'm not sure. I would guess that's just the treasures around here. I'm not sure if that things are, you know, in particular, you know, do this on this one, you get this treasure. I haven't seen anything like that. But for the most part, I'm not worried about it. I just want to get them all done, because I think it's getting the last one done that gives you access to a decent item that we do want to get. And in most games, it would be a very good item, or most Final Fantasy games would be a very good item. But in this game, because of various other abilities that we can get, it's only decently good. And that's just because so many other ways of getting access to this item, or not necessarily the item, but the ability that this item gives us. See, I perfected that one on the first go around, didn't even screw anything up. And coming from one of the more difficult ones, yeah. Here we get to see the evolution of, I think it's Riku's, yeah. Now we start pairing buttons together. When you pair buttons together, yeah, it can, I don't know, I just find that when you've paired certain buttons, especially when you start bringing the L button in, for some reason, my brain cannot comprehend this, and I'm used to, you know, I'm okay pairing the buttons together if it's L1 and R1, but comparing, you know, joining L1 with another button, it doesn't work for me. My brain cannot comprehend it, and I almost always take longer, as you just noticed there. It's, I don't know, it just, see, it screwed me up again there, and then I was too late, and I screwed that up. Alright, now this one I did have to cut. You didn't notice the cut, but, or at least I don't think you did, but I was actually rather lucky when it came to editing certain parts of this together that a lot of the cuts shouldn't be too noticeable. Not that it really matters in the grand scheme of things, since you guys know it's a cut, but I'm happy if I'm able to cut things together so that they look decent. Now here, again, I tried this a number of times. I think I tried this particular one over 30 times, and I just got kind of fed up, to be honest. After spending almost an hour and a half at the other one, I said, the hell with it. I'm just gonna cheese through any of these that give me a hard time at this point, because I just didn't have the energy to try and deal with this, you know, all over again every single time. And so basically, anytime you're doing any of these, assuming you're using the PC version, you can cheese your way through this. And to be honest, I don't know if I did them all correctly in my original playthrough, or my original 100% playthrough. My original playthrough, I definitely didn't, because I wouldn't have cared. But yeah, this one is actually easier than the previous one in the previous screen where I first demonstrated the cheat method. In fact, this one here really pissed me off because I got to 29 on my first attempt and then tried like 10 more times and then said the hell with it. But yeah, spoilers, I almost do it on the first go around. This one, it's a little bit easier because they're bigger and they're closer together. So if you just kind of look toward the center, upper center of the screen and unfocus your eyes, you can usually tell for the most part which ones they are without having to look directly at them. This doesn't always work, mind you, but it definitely works a little bit, you know, relatively often. It's just unfortunate how tedious a lot of these mini games are. Like, you don't need to do this for 100%. You have to attempt all of them, yes. But look at how fast these are. How are you have half the time. It's like less than half a second to respond. Not to mention, yeah, see, I was so close. There we go. Let's get the good attempt going here. But yeah, I don't know, it was so difficult for me to do the previous one. This one, I got so close. I probably got 29, I think, 2 or 3 times. I was trying to do it without the cheat method, but I just wasn't able to. And again, my patience ran out for these mini games. That's kind of the real downside to this game is, yeah, I made fun of it before. It's like, oh, it's let's play side quests and mini games. It is. It's basically let's play side quests and mini games, and that's fine. You know, they've made entire game collections out of this. Mario Party comes to mind. I think they also made a Crash Bandicoot one too. Crash Bash or Crash Dash or something like that. But yeah, it was just in this case, it's too tedious. It's too annoying. It's too much repeating yourself, and that's where I find mini games for me are the worst. If basically it's a whole thing, it's like, okay, you're gonna do this, and if you don't do it right, you got to do exactly the same thing all over again. That is, for me, the easiest way to get me annoyed at a mini game is to give me this option and say, it's like, yeah, you're just going to keep doing the same thing over and over and over again. Well, I don't want to do the same thing over and over and over again. I just want to do the frickin' thing and be done with it. And having to repeat stuff, I hate doing it. I really, really do. It's not a lot of fun for me. And that's where I think a lot of the mini games in this game, and in Final Fantasy X for that matter, just really pissed me off. It's just... I don't have proper words to explain it, but it just annoys me to pretty much no end that I just don't want to do it. I just don't. But anyway, here, I don't know, I'd say this one's actually one of the easier ones. Did I get this one on my first shot? I can't remember. Be careful, like, you'll listen here when some of the button combinations I'm doing, where I will, like, especially if it's like this one here, or, well, probably not this one, but like if it's like a directional input and then a button input, I'll press them like really close together, and just, you know, because you're getting impatient and all that kind of stuff. So just kind of be aware that doing that can end up screwing you over, so be careful. Okay, sorry about the little silence there. I was pulling up a couple of things that were supposed to get pulled up ahead of time, but never did. Anyway, the prize list. That's one of the things I wanted to find. So the prizes will change depending on how many completions you got on here, or number of hits, as it's indicated here. You get one prize for 0 to 5, one for 6 to 14, one for 15 to 24, one for 25 to 29, and if you do all 30 of them, you'll get another prize. There's a different one for each tower. For doing Tower 1, the best prize anyway, is an elixir. Tower 2, a Mega Elixir. Tower 3, another Mega Elixir. Tower 4, a Champion Belt, which is very good. At Tower 5, we get a Regal Crown. Tower 6, we get an Electrocutioner. Tower number 7, we get the Short Circuit accessory. Tower 8, we get the Freezer Burn accessory. Tower 9, the Sublimator, however you pronounce that. And finally, yeah, wasn't able to do that one on the first go. Oh well. For the 10th and final one, which if you remember the layout of the area, you probably don't know where it is, you get a ribbon. We will find that one and we will do the inputs for that one. Without the cheat method, I don't think I could possibly do it. To be honest, I don't think I could. But don't worry if you aren't playing the PC version, you don't have this cheat method. The most valuable thing out of all of those prizes, to be honest, is the Champion Belt. And that's for doing Tower 4, and Tower 4 is not that hard. It's Tower 5 that is the really difficult one. You get a Regal Crown for that, which is nice, yes, but it's not required by any stretch of the imagination. So anyway, we've done that. Now, the stuff that we got at the end of the previous episode there, the new garment grid and the new dress sphere. The Alchemist dress sphere is very much like it's kind of like the Chemist, or whatever translation says it was from Final Fantasy V, the job class. It uses items. It can use the mix command, I think by default, actually, which is Riku's limit break from the previous game, and it can be as abusive here as it was in that game. So there's that. The alchemists, as they also learn abilities to pull items out of thin air, which doesn't consume any of them in your inventory. It just takes longer to use them that way. They can also mix items, as I said, and sometimes that will get you those items that you could have pulled out of nowhere, and it's relatively cheap. One such example is, I think, a potion and a high potion will get you a mega potion, which heals 2,000 HP to everybody. Well, you can pull a mega potion out of nowhere and heal that way, but mixing it is a lot faster. You can also use the item itself, but that, of course, would consume one. Consuming a potion and a high potion isn't very expensive to get a mega potion. The other thing we got was the High Road Wind Garment Grid, and, well, that's pretty much my favorite garment grid in the entire game. It gives you default first strike, or initiative, or whatever they want to call it in this version of the game, which basically means you get to go first in battle at the start of battle every time. You just start with your turn already filled out. Great for running away, great for stealing, great for catching chocobos, pretty much great all around. But anyway, the other part of that High Roads Wind garment grid is, well, it gives you the haste ability. You can get haste, and so you can cast haste just by having that one equipped, or changing, switching job classes. I think you can also get Hastiga by doing that, and it's a very good garment grid for most of the rest of the game. Remote calibration. Memorize the sequence of buttons they appear. Input them in reverse order. Bullshit! This is bullshit! How do they expect you to remember this? Okay, 2? 2? Yeah, that's fine. No problem with 2. You want to know how many you have to do for the last 5 of these? 6! 6 button inputs! In reverse order in the matter of, like, seconds. And they want you to memorize all of this. Fuck you! God, I hate this one. I have serious doubts I ever completed this as a kid. I can't imagine myself. Like, I remember struggling a lot at this minigame as a kid, but I can't imagine myself struggling to this extent to actually get this. I don't know if I did or not. I have my PS2 sitting in a closet somewhere. I could probably go check, assuming, you know, the memory card hasn't just died out with all my files on it. Do you need to power those things every once in a while to keep the power in? Because I think I've lost, like, files on my, like, SNES carts and stuff like that, too. Like, my save files or something like that, because I haven't had them plugged in forever. But, yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous at the end. You know, the first 15 or so are pretty straightforward. Even, you know, up into getting 4, it's not too hard. Once you get 5 and 6, just don't even bother. So here we've got 4 now for the first time. And watch me start to fail quite quickly here without the cheese method. And yeah, I'm basically sitting there like, oh, I don't remember. Or I'm writing them down. One or the other. Because yeah, you want a piece of paper in front of you so you can pause and write these down. So I got one of them. And then I think I screwed this one up. I would recommend like pausing kind of halfway through it. So, you know, there's 4 here. So pause after the first 2, write those down. Let the other 2 go on and then do that because, yeah, I screwed that one up. I saw myself having 2 misses, so I just gave up on this one, got annoyed or something. So I just said, the hell with it. Let's try another one. And this is the one where I actually do the thing properly. So we can go through kind of watching this one. But you'll notice as we get further on that I'm going to abuse the crap out of the pause buffer, because without the pause buffer, you're basically not doing it. Like, I could look at it, it's in a similar vein to like using pause buffering to rig slots in like Final Fantasy VI and Final Fantasy VII and that kind of thing. It's a little more than that because it wasn't in the original game, and normally you can't use the in-game pause ability here. But I don't know. Without it, I just don't think it's even possible. Like, I guess technically it's possible. I would hope that it's like Mario Maker when game developers make these stupid mini games and they actually have to beat it before they're allowed to put it in one of their games. But who knows? But yeah, it's time consuming, that's for sure. And to be honest, I don't care for these types of mini games. Like, if I want a mini game, something like Chocobo Hot and Cold from Final Fantasy IX. That one, at least it's entertaining. You can get really lucky and get, you know, these huge amounts of points by like finding chocograph next to chocograph, and, you know, like you can abuse the crap out of save states to make that, you know, even better. But you know, anyway, just the whole idea of it, you know, here we're just gonna pause buffer for kind of the whole rest of this. It's not really the most entertaining footage to watch, but it's the only way I would be able to do this. And any other thing that you would want to, I don't know, see in a mini game. Like, I don't know what it is, but the Chocobo related side quests are usually the more tedious ones. When you think back to Final Fantasy VII, we had Chocobo breeding, and it's tedious. It's not necessarily annoying once you know it. It's somewhat difficult to figure out because you have to keep going back and forth with Chocobo Sage, or Choco Sage, or whatever his name was. But he pretty much told you how to capture almost all the different Chocobos, or he told you which types of Chocobos to breed, and But you still kind of needed a guide for that. And then it took hours upon hours to level them all up, and racing and breeding and feeding greens, and just so tedious. But yeah, and then you look at Final Fantasy VIII, and like, what the hell was that? That stupid catching Chocobo thing, Choco Zinger, and all that other crap. That was tedious. I didn't want to do that either. Final Fantasy IX, it was tedious in the sense that it took the whole game, and then trying to find where all the buried treasure was on the world map, that was also kind of tedious, but it wasn't as bad as some of the other ones. Final Fantasy X, we've already documented how tedious that can be. Final Fantasy X-2, there is a little bit of a Chocobo related side quest here that isn't what we've already done. You know, the ones we've had aren't too bad, and if it wasn't for the 100% completion thing, it wouldn't be all that bad at all. But yeah, it gets really irritating when, you know, you have to double check for completion points, and this character's got to do this after this event while trying to catch a Chocobo and doing 6 backflips on the head of a pin. Yeah, I don't get it. Why? Stop doing this to me, game. Yay, success. I'm actually managing to do it. Of course, I know I've already done it, but yeah. You'll notice after this one is the 25th one, so after we complete this one here, we can, we'll get the next one there, and it'll be 6 different inputs for the last few of them. 6 different inputs. So we'll do 3, and then we'll pause, write down the 3, unpause, write down the other 3 as they appear, and then it's like, okay, take a look at that, and then unpause, do the inputs as you're looking at them written down, and that's basically the only way I was able to do this. There's no way I could possibly remember all of these right now. Like with all of Payne's, you know, her quest here, or whatever, her towers, they're hard, they're difficult, they're a pain in the ass, but I've gotten to 29 before, and so it all comes down to luck, really, with the last few. If I happen to be looking at the right spot and my hand is close enough on the controller, then I can actually do those ones. This one, without the cheat, I don't think I could do it, to be honest, and I've heard other people complain about it too. For just a ribbon, it's really not worth it. The other items you could get from it are all elemental strike or elemental guarding or elemental absorption type items. So there's that. Ribbon, of course, does exactly what you think it does, prevents all status effects. So yeah, it is what it is. There's not a whole lot left that you could kind of do with it. We just have other ways around needing to have ribbons in this game, so don't worry about it. Unless you're playing the PC version, I wouldn't expect anyone to get it. It's just not worth your time. Wow, this episode ended up really long. I didn't realize how long it was going to take me to do all of the different towers, and then show a failed attempt while explaining it, and then show the good attempt. I haven't really talked as much about the actual kind of the quest itself, other than just complaining about the fact that it's kicking my ass. But that's just because when it comes to post commentary, I usually like to find something else I can focus in on, you know, doing this, or, you know, this other aspect of the game, just because now I can focus on that since the game has already kind of done itself. That's one of the reasons why I don't do post commentary normally during an LP, just because I've done it in the past for this spot or that spot, and it doesn't work very well for me. So for the most part, I stay away from it. But considering we got all that done, first thing we're doing, save. Thank God for that. It's done. I don't have to do it again. Now, there is one other thing that we can do here in the Thunderplanes. If I could remember, I was about to say Mach Lions. Why would I want to say Mach Lions? We're not in Mach Lions. And that is catch a Chocobo. You don't have to do it now, but this is a good spot to do it since you're going to want to catch Chocobos from the Thunder Plains anyway for later. I'll get into it way later why. Here I'm putting Gasol Greens at the top of my, my list there. And during these battles, well, there was a transition there. But what I did is I put the battle speed on wait. Just so that I would have extra time to use the Gasol Green on the Chocobo. And as soon as you get the Gasol Green, it distracts Chocobo, just like in Final Fantasy VII. And then we have to finish off the enemy. Sometimes after getting rid of the enemy, you will have to use a second Gasol Green on the Chocobo. Sometimes it'll just join you right away. Since it's not joining me right away, I just use the other Gasol Green on it. And that's all you need to do, and you've captured a Chocobo. You only need one, but you need it before a certain event on Chapter 3, so kind of be aware that you're going to need that, and stop with the battles. But yeah, that's pretty much all for this incredibly long episode of just absolute hell. Done all the things we needed to do here. I believe we got our percentage. And that's all for this one. See you guys somewhere else next time.